All right, yo. I'm pretty sure we're fucking live. Say hi to the folks, Brendan.
Hello, I'm Brendan. I don't think I've been live on camera yet.
Yeah, well, it's an experience. I mean, I like to do these live things just because it kind of gives people like the chance to talk back, if they so choose.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. Sorry, I just got to find the broadcast and like share it. So what's new with you? I heard you got a job.
Yeah, I got a job. It's a place called Beezy Bees, and they have a bunch of shit going on. It's like I don't even know what I was going into at first. So a friend sent me like, they're hiring here, and I looked at the ad. Just email us with your resume, which I did, and Beezy Bees, I guess, is a company who has beehives and beekeeping around Staten Island, and they make honey and they make bakery goods, but they also make coffee and they also make THC products and edibles, and they also do bee removal. I guess they like safely remove the bees. Maybe they're taking the bees.
Wait, so this is going to be your new job, beekeeping?
I would like to. I thought about that, and I thought it'd be cool because my parents were actually talking about how they were thinking about, like, because they do all these other things, gardening. They have a fig tree. We have all these shelter animals. They also wanted to try to see if they can have a beehive, like beekeeping. And like, I always thought that would be cool. I'm cool with bees.
Word. Bees are all right. I'm okay with bees. I'm ambivalent. Yeah. And I feel like I was unfairly made to be afraid of big bees because they don't really sting you, from what I understand.
It's a rational fear. It is a rational fear. If you do fuck with a bunch of bees the wrong way, the hive mind's going to go after you, I guess. But I don't think bumblebees have stingers. They might be able to. I think any bee should have a way of defending itself. Every animal should have a way of defending itself from you. You know, if you're going to take its shit or kill their queen.
Yeah,
just don't fuck with their queen. They're cool.
I got a fucking ant problem in this apartment right now.
But no, I'm just going to be helping the baker out. So I don't know if I'm going to be making like THC edibles or just regular bakery things. They have a whole lot of things going on over there. I'd like to maybe be a beekeeper. There are beekeeping classes I've heard of in New York. There's one at C Squad, which used to be a lawless wasteland place where they gave young girls drugs and did things to them. But I guess now it's a little bit more wholesome when people are a bit more woke, so there's not as much rape, and now they have beekeeping classes.
I think one of the most interesting jobs that I recall you having was fucking working at the carnival as a carny.
Don't ever join the carnival.
You were I was like, wow, that's such a fun and cool job, and then you did like one tour with them, and then you were telling me like, yo, dude, they're like all crackheads. They'll fucking molest you and take your money.
It's lawless. So you travel from town to town. This is what they do. They pick up delinquents and people that are homeless and drug addicts, because once they get those people who are desperate, and once they bring you to another state or town, you're kind of helpless. So now you have to keep working for them. Are you ready for a story?
Yeah,
about how this works. So,
oh yeah, for the record, just to preface this, when I say carnival, I mean like, you know, those like traveling fairs that like post up in front of your local mall, you know, and they have like rides and they have those like games that are impossible to win. That's what Brendan did for like a whole year, I think.
They're not impossible to win, but when you do win, we suffer. Even if we got $300 off of you, they will take that $3 it costs for that teddy bear off of our pay.
I mean, to be fair, like, you are fucking fleecing these people, you know, like $3 out of a fucking $300 day, like fucking over like most people, and one guy manages to take it home. Like, give it to him. You got to give it to him.
You have to kind of play on the insecurities. That's why, you know, you look for big guys with girlfriends, and you're like, oh, where's her teddy bear? And then they stop, and you're like,
titty bear.
You rig it though. It really is rigged. I learned most of the trick. Okay, so it was a fucked up place. So I wasn't doing good at the time. I had a breakup. I was just doing a bunch of like psychedelics and just hanging out in the woods and taking ecstasy and shit. And it just wasn't working anymore. I just grew a tolerance. And my little sister got a part-time gig while the carnival was in town. So she was like, I can get you a job there, a gig there. I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing much right now. Let me do that. I got in with them, and they were like, you know, if you want to join us, you know, you have a bunker to stay in. We'll have it like, you know, you get to travel. They made it seem like it was extravagant. Like, you got to go around the world and get paid paid. It's no. So finally, I worked the fairgrounds here, and we got into our bunkers, whatever cars we need to get into with drivers. You have to keep the driver awake. And we got to the next town, and once you're in the next town, it's like they own you now. What are you gonna do? You have no money yet. So what they do is the first day we get into town, there's a couple days where everything just needs to be set up. Everything needs to be built up. All the rides need to be built. All the trailers
Tear
need to be
downs
set
and
up.
stuff
You need
too.
to get your water, your electricity going. Not until the boss has his, though. So the first day I was there, I was sleeping. Hot as fuck, no AC, no electricity, no toilet. Got a knock on the door at like 8 in the morning. Work call. Oh, the fair's not open today, though. We have like 3 days, so we're actually open. No, it's work call. We worked all day today. I'm like, okay, so I guess I got some work today. I'll get paid. No. You get a draw. So you work for like 10 hours in the hot sun. Mostly the first day, you're setting up your boss's big-ass fucking double-wide, trailer thingy, bus, whatever they fucking got with their big-ass shower in it and their TVs. And you set that up. They set their electricity, their water up so they're comfortable. And you work all day in the hot sun. You set up some rides. You set up some games. You try to, like, build things up. You don't get your own electricity or plumbing until, like, 3 days later. They don't give a shit about you.
So who's the big cheese in all this? Is it, like, one owner?
A couple. There's like one owner that owns like I worked for a guy who owned like 7 of the games. He's like, when I started out, I just owned this one beer game, this beer busting, bottle breaking game, and then I worked my way up because I'm a capitalist piece of shit.
And then I started buying these rigged ass games.
And then what you do when you work a 10-hour shift like that in the hot sun, they give you what they call a draw, which is you can go up, you wait on the line in front of your boss's trailer, and he gives you anywhere you can take $5 to $20 to live off of for the night and feed yourself. And that gets taken out of the money you make once the fair is open and you actually make money off of people. I got put on the beer bust. So there's a bunch of bottles lined up. We have to break like 2 out of 3. Get 3 balls. You have to make it like 2 bottles to get one. But we rig it. So we put certain wine bottles that are thicker. We kink certain bottles. So if I want to trick a guy as he's going by, be like, oh yeah, he's like, oh fuck this game. Oh yeah, I'll show you. I know which bottle that I kind of kinked a little bit that's gonna break easily. I throw the ball at that one. Psh, look, I just did it one shot. You can't get your fucking girl a teddy bear, and they're like,
yeah. I really like that that gimmick you got, where it's like you specifically look for the tough guy with the girlfriend, so that you could like goad him into it. It's like, what, you can't get a fucking little prize for your little girlfriend, and she's like, I want one, I want the bear.
It's her fault. She could have been smart enough to be like,
she's
listen,
the weakest
guy,
link.
keep moving. I know we're being scammed. And she was like, why didn't you get me a teddy bear? Look at them, they have one. If you play on that, you play on their securities, and you try to make them feel stupid. So when you know what bottles to break, and they throw the same ball,
genius, absolutely
and it
genius,
bounces off, they start to feel inferior now. Now they have something to prove. Now it doesn't even matter about, fuck it, I'm going to fucking prove something to you while I'm handing you hundreds of dollars. It's like, yeah, you're showing me. Like, but you only get like $10.
Yo,
like
what's the most
$5 out of every 100 you get off of someone?
What's the most you've ever like fleeced out of a guy from working one of these carnival attractions?
A couple $100, but you only get about $5 to $10 out of that 100. Your boss gets most of it.
Shit.
And then you have to clean up all the glass and get cut a lot. And they're just picking bottles out of the garbage and going to local bars and grabbing their empties.
All right, what about behind the scenes when you guys weren't working? What was it like in the bumps and
fairgrounds at nighttime becomes a lawless wasteland of crackheads, ex-drug addicts, convicts, and felons and rapists.
Actually, you know what? That's what I was trying to explain to my one friend about like those like working for those because he does that too. So, like, I think I accidentally offended him. I was, like, drinking with him once and whatever, and I was like, yeah, but, you that kind of job, it's for, like, the bottom of the barrel people.
It is.
And then he looked at me because I was like, that's when I stuck my foot in my mouth. I was like, oh, shit. I just, like, unintentionally disrespected this man, like, right to his face. But that's not what I meant. What I was really referring to was, like, the memories of the stories you told me because, like, I was like, I remembered those things. It's like, so you never got like molested while you were high? Like, did anyone try to like molest you or something?
Well, the thing is, when you're in the fair, there's been a couple times where somebody's been attacked or assaulted, somebody had a problem or a fight. If you pick up that phone and you call 911 and bring police in there, oh my God, the next day, you might just go missing. They will find you. they have their own laws. They have their own government to where they take care of their own shit. If there's a riot or fight, a fucking deal gone wrong, and if you call the cops on anyone, doesn't matter who it is, what they did, you will end up beat up and stranded in some random state.
Yo, we got a question, by the way, in the comments. Charlie, hey Charlie, he asks,
Hi, Charlie.
did y'all see the Bob's Burgers movie? No, I did not. I don't fucking like Bob's Burgers.
I never got
dude.
into Bob's Burgers. I don't know if I don't like it. I know my family watches it a little bit. And my friend in Texas watched it a lot.
I don't knock Bob's Burgers at all, just because I haven't seen it, by the way. I think I like the people involved with it. I especially like that fucking voice actor. Because, I love Archer. I think that's a fucking...
It seems like one of those comfort shows.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like... It's like liking spicy foods. You know, I'm sorry. Like, I'm stressed out. I want stress foods. I want stress TV. I want shit that just makes me, like, anxious, you know? Like, I want to watch like conspiracy shit and thrillers where like you don't know if the mom killed one of her sons, and I'm like, oh shit, did this bitch really do it? That's what I'm into.
I from what I've seen, I haven't seen much, so I can't really, don't take my judgment too carefully. But like from what I've seen, it just seems like a really lighthearted comedy cartoon where you don't have to get, it's nothing's too edgy, nothing's too everything's really kind of safe, and it's easy to watch. Simpsons was, I think Simpsons was even, I like Simpsons because it was kind of like, sometimes it was like a little bit weird or edgy or, I don't know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
At least for its time. I don't know.
We were talking about how you were really into South Park, and like I totally fucking fell off of that show.
I stopped watching only because I can't get on any of the platforms I have, but I think South Park's pretty genius most of the time. They're able to take like any controversy that's going on in the world. A week later, they have an episode about it, and they don't just pick a side. They make anyone who's too extremist, whether they be leftist or rightist or conservative, they make each group look as equally ridiculous, which I think is the main truth. Anyone with an extremist point of view is going to act ridiculous about things.
I did like what they did with the election episode, or they probably do this for every election, where they'll make like 2 episodes beforehand. I mean, that's probably the right way to do it, especially if you want to be like really prudent about your release and like the subject matter. It does make sense to kind of like prepare, because like especially if it's just like a binary outcome, like it's either gonna be one or the other. Then it's like your job's like halfway done for you. You just got to put it together.
I like how, like, when South Park first started, like, in the 90s and shit, it seemed more like slapstick. Oh, not slapstick. More like
Retarded.
fart and shit jokes, you know?
Like retarded.
But then, like, over time, it got smart, and it's like, but it still kept that fart and shit vibe. So, like, it seems like it's, this is just silly fucking fart and shit jokes, but it's really smart, I think. I think they're really touching on some subjects that most people don't want to touch, and they do it in such a way to not try to offend anyone, but make it be like, dude,
I don't like that.
If you're too strong about one particular opinion, you're probably too extremist, and it's kind of, you're going to come off as silly.
But they used to be like that. Like, the South Park episodes used to be, like, not extremist. You know what? Maybe it was just a different era of comedy. I was explaining this earlier, how, like, comedy in the 90s was there was no filter. You know, comedy in the 90s, there was no, like, political correctness regime trying to sanitize everything. So back then, comedy was just, like, anything fucking goes. You know, especially if you look at, like, Mad TV bits and shit. Now it's, like, it's different. You know, and now it kind of almost makes the job easier. Because back then, like, you would struggle to be funny. You'd have to say the most outlandish, most offensive shit you could fucking think of. And it was, like, screaming into the void. Nowadays, you could just say, like, one slur. You know, you could even quote it and everybody would be like, whoa.
Well, I guess it depends on the context, really. Like, it's okay in certain contexts, I guess, but, like, I don't know, South Park I don't feel like South Park actually offends anyone. I think it's just
I think it's been pretty fucking offensive, if you ask me. Like, especially more so in the past, you know, because, again, it was...
But they get everyone, though. And they're not picking on anyone, I don't think, in particular. They just... They see something on the news, they see, like, somebody's getting really uppity and extremist about one subject, and they're going to touch that subject because some people were extreme about it. I think any extremist or fanatical point of view is going to seem kind of silly, and it's easy to make fun of.
Maybe back then it was just harder because most people didn't take those views seriously. Nowadays, we take views, those...
Well, at the same time, there's also the other side to that where some things where it was okay to be bigoted because everyone had this agreement, like, oh, this is weird, where now people are like jokes about gay people and things. it's some of it could be funny, but some of it's just like, okay, like, like chill out. It's like, why are you like going after these people kind of deal? And I think back then, they just used it as a joke, and it was just like, I don't know. It changes.
Dude, we were just told to get drunker by
Yeah,
Glenn.
you're right. You're totally right.
All right.
I'm still working on it.
Yeah, after this White Claw, I got a.
I'm getting old. My stomach's not the best, so I take my time. I don't want to puke it up, especially
I
live.
got a Voodoo Ranger, loaded up. So after I waste this White Claw, that's up next on the menu.
I got the Natty Daddies.
Yeah, you got you're packing fucking 4 Natty Daddies.
Yeah, I'm packing 4. I could destroy myself if I kept going really hard.
Well, I see. I don't know. I'm a little apprehensive about that because after this, I wanted to.
I'm not going to destroy myself. I'm taking it easy.
No, because once we do this episode, we have to work on the Terrorisk radio. I was serious about that. In case you guys listened to that in the last episode, we're gonna do classic radio segments. Where we will play local music. Friends that make music, and we'll play their shit, do some talking in between the songs, and I think that'll work out pretty good. I mean, I probably shouldn't say this out loud on the mic especially, but I feel like that'll be easier for us, so we could spend less time talking and more time just doing whatever the fuck between songs.
It gives a change of pace.
Yeah,
it's like a commercial break without having to buy something. You're just listening to a song.
Yeah, for sure. So we were also talking about how all right, well firstly, I should announce to the listeners that you officially met in person our third co-host.
Yeah.
Carmen, you got to be acquainted. What'd you think of him? He liked you. He thought you were a really nice man.
Oh, cool. I thought he was really nice too. I was kind of at a certain point. We were hanging out with an old friend of mine.
Yeah,
and
Scott.
You know how guys get. Some guys decide the drunker you get, the more political you need to get about the conversation.
But listen, you got to give Carmen this. He's a flexible dude. You put him. You put him in any situation, he'll know how to pick it up. I'm kind of the same way. We call it the gift of gab, right? So there's that. I'm actually most looking forward to this new three-way dynamic on the mic because, well, I mean, if it's just me and another person, it's going to feel like this interview dynamic because to keep the conversation going, sometimes you need that other person to just cut you off and be all right, moving on to the next question.
Yes.
But if it's 3 people, oh man, I feel like that would be such a load off because I could just incite a conversation between you two and just sit back and stare at my phone for 5 minutes. It's a good break. I mean, I don't mind the one-on-one things. To me, it kind of pushes me more to be to keep the conversation flow going. But it's nice when you have
The one thing I've noticed. Sorry. I'm a little bitch.
Wow.
About podcasting is if you're normally a ranter who doesn't know when to shut up in a conversation and give the other person a chance, I think podcasting helps because you realize you're making a video, you're online, you're live, and you don't want to.
You're making content and you're not just rambling.
You're not just rambling. As somebody who might be, while you're trying to say that, I'd be blah, 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 blah. I'm just oh wait, stop. It helps. It train you a little bit, I think. I'm not always like that. I'm pretty considerate nowadays. I talk really fast because I have ADD. That's it. I try to get the thoughts out before they leave my brain. I'm what was I thinking about?
Honestly, it was probably perfect timing that you moved back to New York right in the very beginnings of this podcast because as soon as you came back, it just clicked in my head when we were hanging out on your homecoming and you were just talking and I was yo, Brendan would be fucking perfect for this.
There's also a lot of things within the years that I couldn't relate to with other even good friends in Texas about things in the past.
Yeah. If you're about to tell me it's therapeutic, yeah, we all know. There's a running joke about that. Men would literally rather start podcasts than go to therapy. And I'm well, fuck yeah, because therapy's expensive. You have to shop around for a good therapist that you vibe with, and it's always talking to a stranger. Why don't I?
They don't want you to drink while you're there. It's
yeah.
bullshit.
Why don't I just make it everyone else's problem and therapize myself that way?
I don't really trust therapy.
You don't trust therapy?
I've been in mental hospitals before, and I don't trust the drugs they give because I'm dude, I'm self-medicated.
All right. I never said I don't trust therapy, all right? Therapy clearly has, actual implementations often necessary for like many such cases of like mental disorders. Don't get me wrong. Like I totally think therapy works. It's just, why don't you trust it, Brendan?
Because I've been to therapy, and it's just like, here's my problem. Okay. I'm like, so how do I deal with that? It's like, you probably need like $3,000 right now. Okay.
Well, it's not that expensive.
I know. There's certain problems that just take money. There's certain problems like, oh, I don't know. I don't think somebody listening all the time is the solution. Sometimes I'd rather just funny? Just wake up and just like sit there and like have a contemplative day.
You know what's funny though? Like you have all these like medical issues and shit, but out of like all of us, like you've had the most like fighting experience because you were just like this little kid picking fights with these big ass dudes. Like, fuck you, I'm gonna fuck you up.
No, I just got bullied off for having Tourette's before like anyone. You know, I was born in '89, so like when I had Tourette's, there's some videos of supposed people with Tourette's. There's this one chick from England, and she's all like,
Tourette's gating.
You know, she says like, "Oh fuck, shit," and she's like happy about it, and it's like so all excited, and it's like, it's not fun. It shouldn't be considered like. Don't take this actual mental problem and try to make it like this is cool that I randomly. That's not even what it is.
Yo, does that really make you upset, or does it really make you mad that some girl can look hot and say she has Tourette's, and people just give her money for like talking, you know, with like her boobs out and shit?
It's not even what it is, but I think she's faking it. She makes it seem too cute and silly. Where when you have involuntary words and movements, it's not fun.
Yeah, but
even if people think it's funny, you don't want to do it because you want to have control over your physical body. Where sometimes everyone's like, when I was a kid, it got better. But when I was a kid, I was like this in class, like
yeah,
and I couldn't fucking control it, and it hurt. My neck would hurt all the time. I'm getting worse with it, like even thinking about it right now. And they put us all, we had like little like groups of like, oh, we're going to go to a therapy group with 5 other kids with Tourette's. And I'm like, that's when I was a kid, I realized we shouldn't be around each other. This kid's doing this, I'm doing this. So the kid's going, and the other kid's like, wah, wah. And all of a sudden we develop each other's tics because we keep hearing each other. So now instead of just having this, I have mwah, mwah, and I'm like, get away from me. We're vibing off of each other, and it's not good. And you take on their tics. Like, if I'm on the bus, I can notice if somebody has a nervous twitch or a tic, and they're like,
oh no,
like this on the bus, like very subtly. But all of a sudden, I'm like, oh shit, oh, no, I'm getting it from them. Like, it's contagious. I don't think Tourette's kids should be around each other.
Keep them separate.
Keep them separate.
They're just bad.
You don't need to be in a group where everyone's fucking going off like a fucking ticking and with like uncontrollable neurons just blasting out of our brains like coffee metal. Oh, it's not the word. Everyone thinks, oh, you like to curse.
No, it's the tick. It's
the feeling of like really like if you're a person that likes to say fuck, go fuck. It's just the feeling of the consonants and syllables and vowels inside of your throat that makes it's more of a physical feeling of saying the word rather than what the word means itself.
Yeah.
At least for me. I don't know how the rest of them think, but I think that's pretty spot on.
Did you have to go to therapy for that?
I've been to counseling and I used to have a speech impediment. I've been to different types of therapy. They tried to drug me and it was bad. Good thing that I wasn't on drugs. The best thing I've ever had done for me was, you know, I would have certain counselors or extra teachers or a paraprofessional in class, which I didn't like having because it throws your social life off. But sometimes
I can't pick up bitches with this fucking Tourette's para following me around.
Yeah, you can't. They look at you like, is he retarded? What's wrong? Why is he in our class though? If he's retarded, like
get the fuck out! You crapping my style, bitch.
I'll have another fucked up story about that later when I went to high
I would
school.
love to be that. Maybe that should be like.
But I would have some of them who would be like take me out of class, bring me like walk around the park, walk around the woods, pick up a stick, smash a tree with it or some shit, and go back to class and get the energy out. And like, these are things that would have gotten me in trouble in school. Where when I get a cooking job, or a line cook job, or a prep cook, that same energy that got me in trouble helps because I'm like, what do I need to do? What's the next thing? Let's cut this box. Chicken needs to be prepped. And I'm like super hyper and I'm like getting everything done and they fucking love me.
Yeah.
So those things, like I think school is wrong in a way because it's like you're expecting all these different people to learn the same exact way. Where it's like, dude, I'm going to be a fucking chef. I don't need to be able to sit here and focus. I need to be able to be like, okay, Herb, we need this on the line right now. 5 seconds, we need this down. Okay, some people need to be more high energy, and like they did it like I forgot what it's called, but there's like some study where like back, we still have some of the same DNA we had when we were primitive people, and some people would have to stay awake while everyone else went to sleep.
Right.
And there would be certain types of people who had different brains that would like wake up constantly and be awake during the nighttime hours, take another nap, and be awake again, just be super. I do that too. I'll wake up in the night, diddle on my phone for a while, go back to sleep for 2 hours, wake up again in the morning. Those are the people who stopped the fucking cougars from coming into your village and eating your grandma.
The people with Tourette's protected
the
us,
people
so you
like
could
that
sleep.
had their own roles. Everyone had their own roles. If you're a focused person, okay, you make the clothes then. You're going to sit there. If you're a psychopath, okay, you kill the fucking food. If you're this, everyone has a different mind to be able to fit into a tribe. And I think that's the way society works in a way. There's certain people like me sometimes, and I can get shit done in the kitchen.
You know what? It's hard to argue with that, I must say.
I know neurotypical people, they'll be there and be like, oh, there's nothing to do. And I'm like, there's a million things to do right now. And I just, like the anxiety kind of helps.
I noticed that's a recent development for you to use that kind of verbiage, like neurotypical.
Because I never took it seriously. I'm always like, they're just using these labels like Tourette's and using these labels as Tourette's and ADD as a way to like confine me. The one thing I don't know if I agree with, they called it ODD, and ODD is
Obsessive dissociative disorder.
No, ODD
obese
is
dissociative
oppositional defiance disorder.
Oh, that sounds
that
cool.
just means I don't want you to tell me what to fucking do. Because you're not my mom. Stop trying to tell me how to fucking like live. Like I was good at home at first, but
Oh, yeah?
I think I went to school and like the outside authority that I didn't respect or love. It's not that I am oppositionally defiant. I need to respect the authority. So if I have a boss,
You know what? I was literally, I'm sorry to cut you off, but
No
I was recalling about people talking about how like, it's never okay to hit your kids. It's never okay to hit your kids. And it's not that I think it's okay to hit your kids, but I think like it can work. And most of the time it doesn't, because the only way it can work is if like the parents hitting the kid has to be seen as like an actual authority figure to the child, meaning the child has to actually respect them. But if it's a parent who literally acts like a kid themselves usually and hits their kid's just not gonna be thinking like, oh, I'm being disciplined by my parent, I'm being disciplined by a bigger kid. And that's really the problem. So that's why it works with Asians, and that's why it don't work with white people.
Well, that's kind of also the last resort for getting somebody to do what you want. You can reason with somebody.
No.
If reasoning fails,
no.
okay, I'll fucking kill you.
No. It could be systemized. Like the way the Asians do it is very systemic. It's very, you misbehave, you get pain. That's why mom doesn't misbehave or dad doesn't misbehave, because we didn't like pain. Now you're gonna learn that.
Yeah, but you can get used to it. They can only inflict so much physical pain before they really damage you and get in trouble. So you can take the physical pain when they. I'd rather get a spanking than a timeout as a kid, because I was so hyper. Timeout was
hell. I think there's way better ways now.
Confined to a space or
I
time.
think there's way better ways now. We have way more resources to like learn how to like deal with like unruly kids and like get to the actual roots of like dysfunctions and patterns of behavior. But back then, like I could totally see why they did it, and I could also totally see why it worked for some and didn't work for others. So food for thought, like.
Well, also it's like you also gotta like consider like your parents. Like you gotta learn eventually. Your parents aren't these fucking superhuman, knowing everything people. They're just fucking people.
Exactly.
That have emotions. So if you fuck with anyone's emotions too hard, they might try to swing at you. Yeah. Or like defend themselves or do something to get you to shut the fuck up. And you gotta like parents are the same way. They're more mature than you at the moment.
You just got to remember. You just got to remember not to throw out the baby with the bathwater.
Well, that's the saying, because you throw the baby in last, and the water would be so nasty and dark that sometimes they forget the baby was still in the water and throw it out.
Yep.
And they'd be like, "Oops, the baby's on the ground outside."
It happens, dude. You gotta remember next time. There will be a next time, probably.
Yeah, that's why we don't take baths anymore, mostly. That's not for luxury. That's why we take showers like civilized people.
Are you a shower guy or a bath guy?
I'm a shower guy. I love showers.
I like showers,
the steam coming up, the constant hot water, the feeling of it.
I mean, because my take is, like, showers can actually get pretty fucking decadent. Like, I've visited some places, like, when I was in Thailand, I've been in a pretty fucking, opulent shower that was mostly like outdoors. It was pretty fucking nuts. I can't wait to take you like out of the country, dude, because you've never left the country, right?
Yeah, I've never left the country.
Dude, we'll go to a nice place. We'll have insulin on deck.
Okay,
I
was about to be.
Yeah,
I was like thinking about how I'm like, oh yeah, we gotta stock up.
We'll have insulin. We'll have everything you need. We'll have some extra juicy juices for you.
Yes.
You know, well, if we go to Thailand, I don't think. Oh no, we could get weed in Thailand. It's just if we went to like Japan or Korea, I wouldn't
probably
risk.
get anything in Thailand.
I wouldn't. yeah, anything and then some. But I just
and
would.
some things that you shouldn't do.
Are you talking about child prostitutes?
Yes, there's
Obviously.
a lot of bad things I've heard about
all right,
Thailand.
so my thing is, there's like way better things to do than child prostitutes in Thailand. Like, you know, there's the food, the scenery.
Or the femboys.
Oh yeah, that's what you're into. You want to try out
No, I don't want to try to femboy. I'm just saying that I've heard a lot about these things.
these things. They're people, Brendan. They're just really gorgeous women with penises. Sometimes really big penises.
That's not what I'm saying. I know I had one of my bosses when I worked at the Vietnamese restaurant. He was going back to Vietnam. And I was like asking him about it. I'm like, I'd like to visit. He's like, yeah, man, but I'm worried because I have my wife and kids. I'm like, I don't know if I can like not do the thing. I'm like, what are you talking about, man? And he's just like, I don't know. There's all these prostitutes, and I might so cheap. I have money now in America. I might just do it. I'm just like, dude, chill out, man. Like,
Yeah, no, that's a lot.
You're being honest, at least.
I know a lot of people on the internet who have huge problems with like just, you know, sex working, not sex workers, but the industry, because, you know, the commodification of sex, never a good thing for women. I mean, we all know that, like on paper, materially. But that aside, even amongst like other people outside of that specific prejudice also have problems with like sex pats, you know, like old white dudes who travel to like South Asian countries to like fuck like underage prostitutes, which is actually really bad if you think about it. That's just like all, because like, all right, I agree with the moral implications of it. Like, yeah, I do think it's just really evil. But even like also like materially, objectively, it's just it doesn't lead to anything good. You know, like it just causes damage all around, no matter how you cut it. I mean, you think of the worst case scenario where like dudes be leaving some of these like sex workers pregnant, and like they're just leaving a bunch of more poor kids that no one's gonna give a shit about. And
I don't know. I just can't be disrespectful to anyone, even if I don't know. There's like I was on drugs. I was doing shit. I got on mental. I had a prostitute, and I swear to God, like she got angry because I said sorry too many times.
You're the one, John.
I'm like, hey,
I'm sorry. Is this okay? I'm sorry.
I'm like, hey, is it okay? Like while we're doing it, can I put my hand? Yeah, it's okay. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry though. And she's like, stop saying sorry. And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. Stop saying sorry.
It's like I couldn't get it up. I'm so sorry. It's not you.
It's just like things like if I can't like it's weird. It's an awkward situation. Like it's different when it's consensual. When it's like you're paying somebody, even if they're accepting it and taking money for doing things. It's like, okay, but are you just doing it for money, or are you really okay with this? Because I can't.
So basically what you're saying is, yes, I contracted the services of a sex worker, but I was really, really polite about it.
Because I didn't want to think that somebody was doing it because they needed money. Rather than like they were totally fine with this. Like they had to really fucking reassure me.
You know, didn't
like,
you hear that song?
I'm like, dude, you can keep the money and just like say no. And they're like, dude, I have no issue with this. You're way easier to deal with than anyone else.
Well, you know
what? Like, okay, you want Whataburger? I'm getting some burgers. You want some food? It's like, what? I can show you a Beatles song and play it on my guitar. I'm like, I treat it like a date. Like,
oh my
I can't
God,
just not
that's
like be
fucked up, dude. Don't do that.
No,
Don't
cool.
do that.
She gave me mushrooms. She
First
gave me
of
this
all,
cool '90s bomber jacket.
I don't even
employ
sex workers, and
I made a friend.
Even I know how like awfully awkward that is, because it's bad enough you're there for work. It's no different than like if you're an Uber driver and not one of those talkative Uber drivers, and then like the guy in the back wants to strike up a conversation to become your best friend, and you're just not in the fucking mood. Just be a professional.
No,
man.
it wasn't like that. No, it wasn't like that.
I'm just saying, man. But then again, I wouldn't know. It's like you were there, I wasn't, so whatever.
I just wanted to try it out, see what it is, and I'm like, this is not my thing. It's kind of.
But at least you were polite about it.
Yeah, better off than anyone else, I guess. And she told me a couple things, but some things I don't want to say because like she said some things that were kind of I guess what I would consider racist in the scene, but maybe not from her experience. She said certain demographics of people ask for certain things, and some of them are violent to her.
I fucking hate these Asian customers. They keep asking for pictures of my feet. I don't want you to take pictures of my feet.
No, there were certain things she said. I'm like, maybe it's not that it's like those type of people. Maybe it's like I tried to reason with her about it. Like she was like, no, every time I get this type like race of person, this is what usually happens. I'm like, okay, I don't know what to say, you know. I'm like,
well, I think there could be a lot of confirmation bias at play. You know, there could be like factors that even she may not be considering when it comes to like certain demographics. Because, for example, right, it's not like she was a global, you know, operator. She operated in one small town, in one small part of a small town, right? So what would happen is like, yeah, obviously the people of certain demographics are going to stick to their own small populations in that town. So yeah, trends will spread. One Indian guy comes in asking to pee on her. She says yes. He goes back to all the rest of his Indian buddies and he's like, yo, this one prostitute, she will let you pee on her. You know, and then they all come in and start doing it, you know? Like,
you just did the Apu voice.
what?
The Apu.
No, I mean that's how it works. You know, trends spread. It's like, you know, that's.
But I must have been a weird experience for her. It must have been weird. Like what the fuck are you doing?
No,
dude?
I think you just want
like you need a prostitute, dude. You're fine. You just go get a girlfriend. And I'm just I was just on drugs and I got out of the mental hospital. I'm a little fucked in the head.
No, you just want to feel special. You just want to be that one.
No, I'm a. You know, curiosity killed the cat. It hadn't killed.
You're like the guy from Taxi Driver.
I'm curious about any. Yeah, I know. Yeah, here's one situation that I would have. Okay, so I was doing bad drugs at the time, but this time I wasn't on anything crazy. I was just trying to get in some weed and just having a relaxing weekend and just trying to get off of whatever else I was doing. I went to my dude's house and he dealt with bad shit. He was like dealing with people who did like, you know, coke and like meth and shit like that. And I went to his place and he had this dude there, really short black dude, and he had like a gun, just like very visible. Like,
yeah, but it's Texas, dude. That's perfectly par for the course.
Before, and there was these two, like, they looked like teenage girls, and they were almost teenage girls. They were like maybe 20 or something. They weren't even like barely drinking age, and they were just sitting there really quiet, like staring at the floor. They looked like healthy young girls, and I'm like
healthy young girls.
And I'm like, yeah, I just need Nathan weed, you know. I'm just gonna get that and go home and like crash right now, man. And I just eat and crash. And the dude was like, yo, I'm gonna get your dick wet. I'm like, no, dude, I don't got the money for that shit right now. He's like, no,
I don't got the money for that
$100,
shit,
man. You can fuck either one of them. And I looked over at them. They're still like that. I'm like, and the one dude, like my friend pulled me over. He's like, hey man, listen, like, you're not supposed to make eye contact with them. Don't talk to them. If you're going to say anything, talk to him. And I'm like, why are they here? It's like, don't worry about it. You know, I'm like, all right. And so I'm like looking, I almost want to be like, I almost want to be like, should I do some Taxi Driver shit right now? Like, these girls are not old enough to make decisions like this. And there's this like really short motherfucker with a gun. Fuck this dude selling these two girls, like he's some amateur, like fucking like.
But you didn't do the Taxi Driver shit. You didn't fucking take his gun and shoot both of them.
No.
You didn't save them. You weren't the fucking knight in shining armor. God damn it, Brendan.
But I didn't do anything wrong. But and then he was like, after I was like, no, I don't have money for that. I'm just buying some weed, dude. He's like, okay, $50, suck your dick. And I'm like, and I'm still like looking over at them, like, do they have an opinion on this? And they're just looking at the ground. I'm like. And they just look, they don't look like happy, like they're there. I'm like, what's happening here? Is this traffic? And like, I didn't know what to fucking do, man. And I just got my weed and just eventually like, yeah, okay, bye. And I left. But I'm like, that's kind of fucked up. But what if I say something wrong? I can't do anything. It's not my battle. So I'm not going to participate in this crazy shit. But like, I almost wanted to be like, I almost wanted to grab it on them. Like, what are you doing here? Where are your fucking parents? Why are you following this 5 foot tall dude? Fuck him. And like are you okay with any of this? Like, this guy's, for one, $100 to fuck you. It's kind of fucking sick, I think.
Welcome to America,
or $50
dude.
and you have to do this like depraved thing to somebody you don't love or like. I don't know. It's like, you can say, you know, like, some people like it. Some people they didn't look like they were into it. Some people, I guess, can choose that type of work when they get older and
No,
do
it's categorically really not a likely possibility for anyone who
yeah,
who
but
wants
there's
to
a
be
lot
in
of
that
things
situation.
with like a lot of movements like sex work is work, and like I can agree with that on a scale to where like I have to go to work and I'm a laborer, I don't
Yeah.
have so I'm hurting myself to make I'm hurting myself physically and
you fry
emotionally.
yourself with oil.
I
Ow.
have burns all over myself. I get hurt. It's like I'm taking a beating to make my pay and eat my food. Sex work isn't that much different than that at all. But it's when you have a situation where it seems like somebody was forced into it, where it's kind of like, what the fuck's going on here? What do I do?
Yo,
They were way too
you got a
doing that
comment.
shit.
All right, so our friend Charlie says, bro, to quote, bro, I really hope you don't remember this moment when you die. Like compartmentalized regret attacking your psyche in your last dying moments. Quote unquote, I could have helped 2 exploited young women, but I neglected to out of cowardice.
Wow, that's a little bit heavy. Were
Well,
you there?
welcome to the internet, though. Like this is.
Have you been in? How many of these situations have you fucking been in? Really? No, it's
That's a
not
good
the
question.
same when there's somebody with the fucking gun. You don't know if there's somebody else with the gun parked up the fucking block. You don't know if you rat on somebody, something bad's gonna happen. It's not your fucking business, actually.
Well, I mean, these are our listeners. They're just sharing their
I'm
thoughts.
pretty sure there's programs if you wanted to get out of a thing like that, you might be able to just get yourself out.
All right. So we could remedy this right now if we just make a solemn promise, right? That next time we get put into these fucking situations, we gotta try to do.
Yeah, I'm gonna
something.
go. Oh, this is not right. I'm gonna call the cops.
And I just whip out my katana and start like killing like 3 like sex
And now you just
traffickers.
murdered people.
Yeah.
And you didn't know the full situation, and now you're a murderer. The least you're gonna get is manslaughter.
what would be a
You're
real
gonna go in there, taxi cab stuff. That movie's not realistic. He went out of there, and everyone was like, "Woohoo!" That would have been like, dude, that's still manslaughter.
You know, it'd be a fucked up twist though if like you did that and like the girls pulled out guns. It's like, how could you do that to my man? And she tried to kill you, and you had
Yeah,
to.
I don't know what the fuck's going on.
No, and
they
then-
didn't talk.
No, but listen, and
I
then
wasn't
you,
allowed to talk.
and then you were forced to kill them too. So now you're on the run for trying to save these teen
Or I can get my
prostitutes.
weed, go home, and go to sleep. Because it's really not my fucking. And what am I gonna be a fucking superhero now? Just
Damn,
defending the world from fucking sex trafficking, which is like.
Dude, you're getting hung up over this one comment. I think next time we do this, I can't let you see the comments. You got to.
No,
keep
I liked it. You're gonna stop all the sex trafficking in the world. What are you gonna do? It's gonna happen.
Actually, I don't know. I mean, the one good argument you had was that he wasn't there to be in that situation, because I was never really in a situation like that. And if I was, I mean, would my first thought be to like do something about it that would like result in direct violence? Probably fucking
I
not.
was just trying to get weed.
But I would tell people about it. I would tell as many people about my experience there as possible, because that is some fucked up shit. I can't not talk about something like that. You know, like that
Yeah.
is something like that's pretty intense. Hence, we're doing this now. We're spreading the good word. It's not
Spread
the
the
good
good
word. It's
word.
more like the bad word. But the bad word also needs to be said sometimes. I don't mean slurs. I just mean like, negative experiences. Just got to get them out there.
I think some of it can be constructive, especially things with addiction. I've touched on that before, and that's the thing I have hopeful messages for, I guess.
Yo, have you been writing any new songs?
Nope.
No.
I don't. It's hard as I get older. I used to be younger and very convicted about things. I have really strong black and white convictions. Like, you're right, I'm wrong, blah blah blah. And it's harder to write music, at least punk music or anything like that, for me, when I don't have extremely strong convictions and I feel like my mind might change and I might grow the next day. Where when you're young, I feel like a teenager, especially with punk rock or rap, you're very like, this is right, this is wrong, and I can really like go strong.
Well, doesn't that make you feel like really humbled as a human being?
Yeah.
So
I
then
think
why don't
it's
you?
important to be humble.
So then why don't you write about that? I mean, it's probably hard, but you could do it.
I'm so humble. What am I gonna say?
No, not I'm so humble. I'm so humbled. And
Yeah.
What is it that specifically humbled you?
This is gonna sound really campy and cheesy. It's just life.
Yeah. No, I totally feel you. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Being wrong about shit.
Yeah. Yo, by the way, speaking of punk, what did you think of Dave's band?
I like Dave's band.
Yeah, that's our friend, by the way, guys. Davey Sarnes. He's like the best drummer I know personally. Probably.
Yeah, me too. He played.
I mean, no, second best, I think. And second best is still up there because I know a lot of fucking
Who's
drummers.
the first?
So. Alex.
Yeah, I was about to think that Alex
Salinger of D's Nuts.
I don't think it's a matter of better or worse. I think
it's technique. It's pure technique.
Different like.
Because like Dave's out there like playing this like insanely cool shit, and Alex is like whipping out. It's like, yo, check out what I just learned from gospel drums. I'm like, what the fuck? Like who fucking?
Yeah, he's more. Alex is. I don't know. It's just different. I played with both of them. I played with JoJo. I think is one of the best drummers too.
Yeah,
he's the original drummer of Lucky Fucks.
JoJo's tight, and he's got like a sentimental.
If you see
attachment
maybe in future podcasts, I can show some of the shows because everything goes in slow motion, so you think you're going slow and you go way faster. Even any live shows, they usually play their songs a little bit faster.
Wait, I got a good one. So to all of our listeners who somehow end up in the most ass end of New York City, Staten Island, and you didn't know where to go once you stepped foot on Staten Island, where would you recommend newcomers should visit?
If you just got here with no plan?
Yeah.
I would just, this is really personal to me. I would just go to the fucking beach in Staten Island at first. In Manhattan's just like, if you don't have money or anything or no plan, I don't know what you think you're going to do. You can walk around and just get into shit, but like, I don't know.
You know what? I was trying to explain this to someone else, and like, you're kind of like validating that when I was like, you know what? Maybe it's not the best place to visit. Maybe it's better if you know someone here already.
You need to have somebody, a friend or a guy.
Yeah, you need like someone who's already situated here and who knows people here, and if you come visit, because then it's a really good time, because like at any given moment you'll just get into some.
I have friends in Texas like I always wanted to visit New York. I'm like, yeah, but what are you just gonna go there and then like get there and somebody's gonna sell you tickets to the Statue of Liberty, and you're not gonna really have any experience of being in New York. Like if I went, like I watch a lot of shows of people who like learn the language and go to different like YouTubers and who make money off of doing it, but they go to different countries, learn the language, and they don't go to like where the white people go, the tourist attractions. They go to like the nitty gritty. They go into the neighborhoods. Like this supposedly is a really dangerous neighborhood, and they get in touch with the people and actually live like the life.
Well, I think
like you need to do that in New York.
On some level, I think that might be unfair because America has its own like really wicked, borderline ancient, like kind of stupid ass like barbaric communities. Like there's this one YouTuber, I don't even know him, so I can't even plug him right now. But there's this one YouTuber who's like he goes out into like Mississippi sticks or whatever, and like finds those like inbred families and like films them and like interacts with them and takes them to like Walmart with $1,000, like buy anything you want. It's crazy, dude. It's like, it's insane that exists in America. And that's actually, that's kind of like ignorant to say. That's really unclassy of me to say, but it surprised me at least. I'm like, dude,
so he's just like going to like inbred families and taking them to Walmart.
Yeah, that's like kind of as a social experiment. Like if you were to give these people $1,000 just in cash to go to Walmart and buy whatever they want, what would they get? And you saw them, and he was like,
ribbon, mac and cheese. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, this one guy got like $150 in Entenmann's cakes. I was like, holy shit.
Wait, Entenmann's doesn't? I thought Entenmann. Okay, I've been in Texas. There's no Entenmann's. I've asked plenty of people like, does anyone sell Entenmann's? They don't have it at Walmart.
It's like that retard.
That's a New York. I think that's a New York thing. I think it's a New York bakery or something.
All right, wait, no, I called it Entenmann's cakes.
Local.
I think it was probably like Pepperidge Farm cake. It was one of those prepackaged, pre-boxed cakes.
Yeah, because like in Walmarts and other places in America, it seems like they just have the all-American whatever everyone buys. Where in New York, at least you have a variety, and you have like certain companies that can flourish because it's so overly populated. That's just a New York thing. Like, you don't have Poland spring water in Texas. You have Osaka.
I want to try some Osaka. Is it better than Dasani?
No.
Oh,
it's like the cheap water you can buy. It's the cheapest thing you can buy in any place.
I think the cheapest water that I have ever drank that I don't mind drinking to this day would be like CVS brand generic water,
Or just New York City tap water because it's fine.
Yeah. Well, you can't say that for like a lot of states.
Yeah. You don't want to drink the water in Pennsylvania.
Why?
It's weird. It's nasty. I've been up there a couple times. I've washed my hair with it, and my hair became like stiff and like grainy, like weird. Like, there's like some solids in there, like something's in
God, there's a word I want to
thick.
use right now, but I
That word
can't
is
use it.
thick.
Like,
What?
There's a word I want to use right now, but I can't use it.
I can't imagine what that would be.
Yeah, moving on. So
Okay.
how long were you in Pennsylvania?
I've just visited a couple times. Like I had like some rich girls who lived up there. We went up there for like a week during like or like a group of friends. Had like, some friend had like a vacation house that their parents owned. We just went there for a couple days. Little things like that. I didn't really travel much. Pretty much only Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York.
Dude,
all
I
around New
can't
York.
fucking wait to take you out of this fucking country, man. It's gonna be a good time.
Where the fuck are we gonna go?
Well, we could start easy. We could go to Canada or Mexico, but gradually.
I'd rather go to Mexico. Canada is like too close.
You know where I would actually take you? I would take you to Ireland, and then you could protect me. You could be amongst your people, and I could be the tourist.
Because they really love Irish Americans who think they understand their heritage when they come to Ireland.
Yeah, you could have my back.
You're a fucking poser.
No, I don't think it's because of your heritage that would protect me. It's because of your general demeanor.
I think that's true. I think that does carry on. Like, you have Irish families who are very boisterous and loud, and like we have dinner and they're like yelling at each other while we're eating and shit. We have like some cultures like that they just grew from their own cultures. Like the apple.
You get
doesn't
it.
fall far, but it falls a little bit further away. But like it's still, every generation changes a little bit. Like Italian families are a certain way sometimes, even if we're a bit Americanized.
Fucking
so I guess
Italians,
that's the thing.
man.
I get along with.
What is it with you European Catholics and being such pieces of shit? No, I'm kidding. I'm not gonna finish that sentence.
I don't know. I think most Catholics is like one of those religions where it's easy to like, I'm a Catholic, but I really don't like pay any attention to my own religion. There's so many religious people who just, it's like generational. They're like, I took on this religion from my family, but I don't believe in it. Like they're not strong about it. It's like a very flimsy thing.
You know what I'll give to Catholicism though? Out of all the religions, any religion you could possibly think of, whether it's Buddhism even or Buddhism isn't really religion, I guess, but like whatever. Catholicism has the best aesthetics. Like this fucking art, the stained glass, the shrines and shit. Like it's insane. It's beautiful.
What about like Hinduism? Or, like,
No.
The big like the.
No, it doesn't hold a candle to Catholicism because I don't know what it is. It's like I don't
They
know.
have so many different smells and incenses where like.
So does
you go into any Catholic church,
All right,
it smells
you
like
never
a Catholic
wa-
church.
you never
It's
walk-
that same wood
Yeah.
burning.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
the same shit. It's like that smudge stick or something.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And it's so dreadful. Like a white Catholic church is so sad and depressing.
I like it though. It's pretty beautiful to me.
Like
you know,
I'd rather be in like one of like the black
Because-
Christian
because-
churches where they like cite and have like if you're a god, would you want a bunch of people like, oh, we're so sorry, we repent, or you want people like, I fucking love you, Jesus, and just fucking sing.
But it's like the amount. I feel like just the craftsmanship that went into that one religion just still baffles me. Like, you know what? There was a part in Sopranos that actually talked about it. Like they pulled up to a church. And he was with his daughter, Tony, and he was like, yo, what was it, your uncle or your grandfather and his brother built that or something? It's like, they built that. And she's like, yeah, so? And he's like, look at it. And it was a beautiful cathedral. And then she was like, so what's the point? And he was like, yeah, well, they built that. Now try to find me two guys who could even, put like spackle a bathroom correctly. And he was right, like, It really was, and that wasn't from like any kind of like cultural craftsman's pride. That was purely based on the love of the faith. That's pretty intense. I mean, we're talking about cathedrals, man. Cathedrals were, aside from like mosques, I guess cathedrals are like
temples and shit.
All right, wait, like those pyramids, I think were built by the alien, or at least.
No, I don't know about that. I'm like in India, I think they take it a little bit more seriously. Like just like looking at it,
it looks ugly though. I mean, like when I say like
India's ugly, or like at least the monuments and like
no, yeah, it's more gaudy. It's fucking gaudy as fuck. I'll admit it. Whereas like the Catholic aestheticism is rooted in like this guilt and suffering, and it's just like so much more powerful when it comes out in like architecture and like paintings and shit.
Yeah, but you can just admit that you did some fucked up shit, say Hail Mary and Our Father, and then like. Go about your life and do more shitty shit.
But still, they still have to live with that, though. Like, they got forgiven in the eyes of God.
No, they say you're forgiven.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. As a human being, you're still gonna feel it. I think that was the trick behind that whole
Well, then
system.
why not
It was
just
like
if we really have an
no, that was
inbuilt morality,
that
why
was
don't we
the
just
I
rest
think
on our laurels?
I think that was the clever trick behind the forgiveness, because they figured out that whatever, I could give you ordained forgiveness and whatever, go about your way.
You're
and do
still
some
going
more
to heaven.
You're still going to feel it as a human. Like, you still think in your head, it's like, oh, it's all good. I confess to the Father, I'm gonna go to heaven. But deep down, as a human, you still feel your shit. And I think that was the trick, because that was the point that God was making in that context, where it's like, yeah, I'll forgive you. Go ahead. You have my forgiveness. Let's see if you forgive yourself, you son of a bitch. You
so
know,
God's like being like tricky, like about it.
but God would do that, wouldn't he? Because God works in mysterious ways, right? Like, I think that makes
I
the
don't
most
believe
sense.
that's how it works anyway. So I think it's all just bullshit.
But all I'm saying is
don't think anyone can find out what the truth
Catholics
is.
made the best fucking art. All right, I think they have a really goofy ass religion and goofy religious practices, but they hands down made the best fucking art. Especially with like its cultural impact, you know, like they preserved like fucking like things that were lost since like ancient Greece, just through like their depictions of it, you know.
Yeah, but it might have just been like the artists at the time that made that art good for those religions. Like the artists at the time were into those religions, and they made art for them. They made statues, made painted glass, and like during those times.
It's not like you could just look at that and say that's all they were good at. They've also made art like depicting like the Greek gods, you know, and like Roman entities and shit like that. So it's not like they were so focused on like the book of Genesis and shit. Like they literally delved deep into many different like religious outlets, and with Catholicism, they happen to just make like incredibly beautiful shit. I mean, you know what? Maybe it could be argued that if those same artists, like if you took like all the Renaissance artists and like threw them in like India for like 5 years randomly and then put them back, like what would they have come up with? You know, maybe it would have been completely different. That's true.
There's still, I think some of the Hindu art is fucking crazy. Like it's not just good. It's like, what the fuck am I looking at? I mean, maybe that's a cultural difference for me, but like seeing like
let me ask you
alien
something.
being with fucking like 8 arms
between the Catholic like ethnic demographics and like the ethnic demographics that would have like practiced Hinduism, right? Which one do you think did more drugs?
Catholicism or Hinduism? I think Catholicism was just a lot of drinking and maybe some lead cups that they shouldn't have been drinking out of sometimes.
Whereas
I think Hindus, like, they were probably sometimes eating shrooms, and like they had like different type of psychedelic elixirs that they used to have that probably like formed how their brains developed their religion.
Same thing with the other side too. All that booze probably.
Like,
not to
there's
form
so many cows that they're eating the shrooms, and they're like, God has 8 arms. Holy shit, you know, and like,
and the Catholics are like drinking, and he's like, our God killed himself for us.
Yeah. It's a different fucking vibe.
Yeah,
and that's why the book is better.
For sure.
The Bhagavad Gita is written so beautifully and poetically, and
maybe
it's, even
you know
to this day, you can translate it easily, and
I don't disbelieve
really
that. In terms of literacy,
easy to read.
In terms of literacy, maybe like the Far Eastern, like Eastern faiths and religious practices are way more pronounced.
But the book is like I wish I had a Bhagavad Gita and a Bible. Next time I'm gonna bring some shit. We're gonna go into theology.
All right. See,
I'm really into
listen,
theology.
No, listen. For in the Bible's defense, I still think the Bible is one of the most beautifully compiled sets of stories ever written.
They're written horribly.
Are you serious?
If you read a book like that now, it would be like, oh,
I've
is the
read
author
way-
fucking stupid?
look,
Like,
I've read way worse
they not know
books.
how to make sentences
Dude,
the right
I've
way?
read way worse books that I've enjoyed just as much, if not more so. So, like, I got to cut the Bible some slack. And it wasn't all written like that. There's different versions of it. So you don't have to experience it in that certain unabridged way, you know?
Like the parables from Jesus, and I've had a Bible where it highlights just the parables from Jesus and highlights them so you know exactly what, like, supposedly came out of his mouth. And it's some good shit, but it sounds like some Eastern shit. And supposedly there's that big gap. Maybe he went to the fucking East, learned some Buddhist shit, learned some fucking Hindu shit, and came back and was like, these Jewish people are acting kind of crazy right now, aren't they? These Pharisees are kind of like have their head up their ass, and I need to like show them how to be humble. And maybe it was some dude who just went to fucking India for a while and came back and like had a new twist on it.
You know what I think the Egyptians' problem was? Like, they had so much power for so long, Because the aliens were helping them out for the first half of their civilization.
We don't know that for a fact.
But then for the second half of their civilization, right, the aliens weren't there. So they were kind of just like deteriorating. And that's when their slaves took them over. And the reason why I believe this is because, like, we're talking about a civilization in itself. The Egyptian civilization lasted for, I mean, they are already as a whole considered ancient.
Do you have any comments?
What?
Messages or anything?
No, nothing worth noting.
Oh, okay.
But like,
I want to know. Come on.
No, seriously, nothing worth noting. It's just like reactions.
I
Like,
want to note everything. I want to hear. What is the reaction?
Someone's like, yo, we have some hot takes. We could have set the house on fire and stuff like that. Anyway, listen, Egyptians, right? We already look at them as an ancient civilization, but did you know that to the Egyptians themselves, they also had like their own history of ancient civilization? Meaning that since ancient Egypt civilization itself is thousands of years old.
They had their own ancient.
They had their own archaeologists basically trying to dig up ancient.
Like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah, exactly. And those are people that we're saying are ancient. So isn't that like fucking ridiculous? Like, fuck.
Well,
so that's why I think, they had some help. And you know who else had some help? The fucking Mayans, man. They had help from the extraterrestrials. It's kind of.
Well, it's just one crazy thing. Like, it is a fact that like all these different pyramids were built in separate parts of the world, like where people didn't meet or communicate with each other, and they were built that way.
But they just align astrologically.
And they align astrologically, and that's also like a fact. So it's like, is that a fact?
I'm pretty sure. Well, I don't know about like the.
We're just gonna go based on that is a fact. I don't see why it wouldn't be. Somebody would have debunked that, right? Somebody would have been like, "No, that's bullshit."
Yeah. No one's arguing.
Doesn't align with Sirius. Sorry.
Or maybe they just don't give a shit enough to argue. It's all good.
But yeah, that is crazy. That's a possibility. But I always thought you have to be like, that's not a fact though. Like, we have to use the scientific kind of like process to where hypothesis, pretty fucking strong hypothesis, but there's no actual physical evidence for a conclusion yet. But it's there. It's on the fucking table. We're waiting for it. That's what I think it is.
Yeah.
I don't think we can, like, really... It's like, that's how I feel about religion. It says this in the Bible. It's true. It's like... It's a hypothesis.
Well, you know what?
That's
You know
not
what? You know what?
fucking
Well,
fact.
you know what they say.
It might be true. I'm like, that's why agnostic
Well, you
seems
know what
like
they
the
say.
only logical way of thinking.
Studies show is the new God says. And with that, we'll wrap it up. We're past the hour, and we thank our fucking 3 viewers who are watching with us. So
thank you for the comments.
Yeah. And I guess we hope to get this episode up soon. And peace out, y'all. You fucking motherfuckers. Yeah, we're off the air. Are we off? Yeah, we're off. We're off the air.